Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge. This is your latest Manchester United news, and more importantly, it's your reaction to Erik ten Hag's press conference this evening. Later than usual, but lots to discuss as always. New injury blow. He's been talking about a couple of players that will be out till the new year. Also updates positively around Marcus Rashford and a reaction to Marcus Rashford's tweet, I suppose, which has been blown out of proportion completely, but a very intelligent response from Erik ten Hag. Hopefully we can get to work now. Also, we have a little bit of an in-depth look at the style of play that ten Hag wants to play. A good question about that. It was asked about Antony as well. What is his thoughts on Antony's poor form? How does he feel about the atmosphere? What does he think about Copenhagen potentially being the favourites tomorrow night? Also asked about the banner at the weekend, play like you mean it. What was his thoughts on that? And also a very intelligent point about Rasmus, which we'll talk about, and why Man United are struggling and why Ten Hag admitted himself we're playing really, really badly. And the points we've got are probably a bit false. And he's very happy about that because he thinks we can improve and we've got a platform to, build from. So lots and lots to talk about. And get your questions in tonight, as always. Big shout out to you, the community, absolute legends. I just want to say at the start of this video as well, a lot of negativity. Always going to be a lot of negativity. If you're doing well, people want to knock you down. But can I just say, you, the community, not me, the presenter, or Beth, or Faz, or anybody else, you, the community that we've built on this channel over nearly 10 years, have this channel that we've built, the biggest Man United fan community in the world, has it been beneficial to the club? Yes. Has it made people feel a part of something that brings them closer to the club worldwide that they can talk about that wasn't there before? Yes. How can it be a negative thing when we're getting people talking about the thing they love collectively more regularly? What was there before? A few fanzines, a few online forums that, if you talk it out of turn, you get banned and everything like that. Which, to be fair, if you're vile on here, you will get banned. But I don't get the negativity around this type of content. It's the biggest fan community in the world over any other club. And it's people talking together about the thing they love. The amount of people that have messaged me over the years saying, I support United, but this has made me support United even more. Let's sometimes promote the positivity, because there's a lot of people who want to promote it as a negative thing. But ultimately, we created something massive where people can come together every day and talk more about the thing that they love, which for Manchester United, they may not realise it, actually probably feeds into more bums on seats, more sales, more interest, more social media following. It's an amazing community that you've built. And, I sometimes don't even realise what a positive it is. So well done to you. Love seeing you sticking up for yourself against the media. Do you think Rashford's form dip is to do with Shaw's absence as Crystal? Yeah, I think Luke Shaw, Martinez down that left-hand side. Martinez has an impact on Shaw as well, is a big thing. Welcome to Members Club, Gilberto. Lee Berman's gifted us a membership. And Mark, I know this isn't the topic, but what do you say about all the people calling you a hypocrite because of a 30-second clip telling Rashford to go to PSG, says Stuart? I mean, I don't really want to talk about it at the moment because there's so much to talk about, like Casemiro and Martinez being out for the season and what Ten Hag has said about Antony. But I've already spoken about that this morning. And the problem is I probably stream talking about United nearly 20 hours a week, certainly over 10. And at the end of that season, I felt it was best for Rashford to go. I didn't think he looked happy. Apparently his agent had been to PSG. Everything was indicating that he was looking to go, and everything on the pitch wasn't looking good. And I felt that at that point, he couldn't buy a good result. He couldn't buy a good performance. So it probably felt like it was time to go to say goodbye. That never made me believe that Marcus Rashford wasn't a good player, by the way. I mean, I've consistently said, but people don't clip these things up about Rashford being one of my favourite players ever since he came into the team. Martial was as well, but I think it's time for Martial to go. It doesn't mean I don't have an affection towards Anthony Martial. I just think it's time for him to go. If he suddenly starts scoring 30 goals, I'll be very, very happy. And that's what happened with Rashford. Ten Hag came in, he worked hard, and we got the Marcus Rashford back that we know and love. But for that season, he just disappeared. And it's like, nobody's bigger than Man United. And it just felt like at that point, it was time for him to go. The people who clipped that up are childish because they're talking about something that was a very long time ago that I and many other people agreed with was the betterment for the club and probably the betterment for him. And it was an opinion at that time, and it was a wrong opinion. Just the same way I was wrong about Cavani. I didn't think it was a good signing, and actually I thought Cavani did really well for us. The missus is out, and I'm having a curry. I thought that was going to be a joke. I thought that was going to be a rhyme, Soldberg. The missus is out, and I'm having a curry. I'm going to watch porn. I hope she doesn't come home in a hurry. That's where I thought you were going with that. With you this evening, Mark. Love you, legends, says Soldberg. I've just done a little song for you as well. Any news on the sale, or is it all quiet on the Western Front, says Daniel? I think we're going to get some news next week from what I was told today. I think it's going to kick off next week, so watch this space. The MSM is reacting like an animal in the death throes, gasping for air. United Stand has pioneered and forged the fresh path that the fans love. Keep it up, mate. Well, you have, Mike. It's you. Was class seeing you in Temple Bar, Mark. Cheers for all the content, Mark. Keeping us going in these terrible times, says Aaron. I think I remember who you were. I was walking through Temple Bar. You're very welcome. Can't wait to get back to Dublin. Loved being back there. 3 times this year I've been, and I'm going to come back again. Let's all stand up and give Erik ten Hag a cheer. Man has suffered this season with obscene amount of injuries that we're currently trying to escape through. Well, let's get into this show, Slow Sports News, because we've been hearing from Erik ten Hag in the last few minutes. Beth is out there with Ryan. They've been in the dressing rooms. They've been speaking to journalists and stuff like that. Unfortunately, we didn't get a question in the press conference. I can probably understand why. It's a bit of a shame. It costs a lot of money, as everybody knows, to go around following Manchester United. And we are out there, as always, doing that for you. You've got no divine right to get a question. It's a bit of a shame, though, because the questions that Beth was going to ask, I've got to give her a shout out. She's travelled out to Copenhagen and doing a great job, and she was going to ask these questions. Maybe another journalist could pick them up in the future. She was going to ask Christian Eriksen how he's finding playing holding midfielder and what skills and he brings to that role, because obviously he's not very physical in that. So, wanted to ask him about that. And the Ten Hag question was going to be about Mason Mount. We spent a lot of money on him. He's not starting at the moment. Where do you think Mason Mount fits into this team? And I think we'd all would have liked that question. So hopefully somebody else will ask them in the future. But that was our intention. And just to let you know, I've gone and watched games only because of the United Stand, says Dan. Love you, Mark. Keep up the good work, says Erin. Well, you're a fantastic community. So, look, let's get the injury update from Erik ten Hag. First of all, positive news. Rashford and Maguire are totally fit. Marcus Rashford is 100% fit. It was a small knock that kept him out of the game against Fulham. I'm sure a lot of people will go, oh yeah, small knock that keeps him out of Fulham and he's back for the game. I'll say what I said before. If he was dropped from Fulham, if he was dropped for the Fulham game because what he did on his birthday party, why didn't he drop him against Newcastle, which was a lesser game, and was straight after that? It doesn't make any sense to drop Rashford for the Fulham game when he could have done it for the Newcastle game. And also, I think it's a massive risk to drop a player like that if you're losing, you might want to throw him on for 20 minutes. So he clearly was injured. He's back. He's 100% fit. Harry Maguire, I don't know what... I understand why they asked the question, because he had a knock to the head, concussion protocols, but... Ten Hag said Maguire was fine. He played on. There was no issues on the game. He was fine in the game and he played well, and he's absolutely fine to play again tomorrow night. So Marcus Rashford and Harry Maguire are fine. On more negative news, and this feeds into what Ten Hag was talking about why we're struggling this season, Casemiro and Martinez are going to be out until Christmas, which basically means New Year, because Christmas is very close to New Year. So start of November, out until the new year. I think I was expecting this with Casemiro. I think a lot of us were expecting it with Casemiro, but the Martinez one really is a hard one to take, because let's not forget, the Martinez one is really frustrating. Man United fans has been talking bullshit on Rashford for years, says Tevin, and don't always agree with you, but a lot of the hate you get is unfair and lazy. Wishing you and your family all the best, says Chris. Thank you very much, mate. And I love the new jingle, mate. Thought the ice cream van was round when I heard it. Brilliant. Love the podcast. Perfect balance of humour and content, says Mike. He's been watching Goldbridge Saves Football. We've got a brand new jingle on the show. It's very addictive. It's worth giving it a listen. Goldbridge Saves Football. Give it a search. You won't regret the jingle. But the Martinez one is really frustrating to me. TGH Holmes, thank you very much for your super chat. The Martinez one is really frustrating to me, because he got injured in, was it May, late April or May, and he was back in pre-season in July. So he was out for 3 months, and then he came back. And now he's had the same problem, and he's out for 4 months. So it's really frustrating with Martinez, and you've got to call it for what it is, because we misdiagnosed the injury. We misdiagnosed the injury. He came back from an injury, and then he wasn't right with the same injury, and now he's had to have an operation. So effectively, Martinez has been out from the end of April to January. You can do your cruciate ligament and be back quicker than that. And this is a foot injury. And Ten Hag must be fuming. He must be absolutely fuming. And people talk about the director of football, and they talk about the CEO, and they talk about recruitment. But I definitely think there's got to be some... And I'm not saying... Maybe we're just really unlucky. But I think we've definitely got to look at the fitness department, because it's been going on for years. It's been going on for years, the problems at United. But that Martinez one is the biggest injury that's hurting us. We don't have a left-sided centre-back. And Ten Hag desperately needs a left-sided centre-back, because the way he plays, he wants symmetry and balance in his back four so they can play out from the back effectively. Not having Martinez deprives us of a left-footed centre-back. Now, Luke Shaw could do it, but he's not fit anyway. So the Martinez injury must be absolutely frustrating to Ten Hag, because he's had the same injury twice and we fucked up the first one. So he's out longer the second time than the first time. And if we dealt with it properly the first time, he'd be playing now. And it's these sort of mistakes that can cost people jobs. They can. You know, people were trying to sack Ten Hag last week. I think if we had Martinez, we'd be playing better. So it's a big one. Thanks for Santa's Little Helper, and actually thanks to all England for supporting. I'm from Ukraine, says John Dracon. Thank you very much. Malacia, Luke Shaw, and who else is injured at the moment? They could be back before Christmas. Malacia's not far away. Ahmad's not far away. Luke Shaw we've not had an update on, and he is a big player. You talk about Rashford, you talk about the back four. Luke Shaw is a massive player for Manchester United. He's been underrated for years. He's absolutely crucial to that team. He's crucial in the dressing room. We need Luke Shaw back, and hopefully that will happen soon. What hurts is his contract got increased as Thiago Brown. But look, that is a blow. Casemiro and Martinez out till January. We've got a lot of big games. December's difficult. Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, Aston Villa. We've got a lot of difficult games. The Ten Hag out crew could be rising again in December for Christmas. So it's difficult. And it's interesting what Erik Ten Hag said, because he was asked about, you know, the way the team's playing, and it was a great point, actually. I must read you this. So this all came. What the fuck happened to Casemiro? I think it's a hamstring with Casemiro, Emil. I mean, a lot of people are concerned about that, but yeah, Casemiro's didn't look bad last Wednesday, but apparently it's a bad. I think it's a hamstring, and he's out for New Year. So it's difficult. It's difficult, isn't it? You know, we don't actually have a holding midfielder now. McTominay can't do it. Amrabat doesn't seem to be trusted to do it, and we're playing Eriksen there, and that will hurt us against decent teams. I would predict right here, right now, we will get a good hiding at Anfield again. And I don't want to be negative, but I just look at that team, I look at the midfield, and if we don't get Luke Shaw back, I mean, even if we do, he's still going to be playing Maguire and Varane, or maybe Maguire and Evans. That midfield could still be Bruno, McTominay and Eriksen. You go to Anfield with that again, bloody hell, it could be a problem. So still a lot of work to do. Still a lot of work to do. And I think Ten Hag was very honest about that, because he said, he was asked about Rasmus and what he thought about Rasmus's integration, which was very interesting because we spoke about it this morning. And he said about Rasmus, look, he's integrated really well. He's a great character to have around the team. He's got a great mentality, a great work ethic. He's eager to learn. He's got 3 goals in the Champions League. But as a team, we have to be better to help him with chances and opportunities, which is so true. He said, but to do that, we need a stable starting 11, which we haven't had this season. And when we have a stable starting 11, we will create more chances as a team. So it is a problem that Ten Hag is aware of. And he goes on to say that we've had so many changes in the defence. We don't have a balanced midfield yet, which is a big tick for me. It's a worry, but it's a tick, because I've been on about this. That midfield has not looked balanced all season. No matter what he's tried, it's just not looked balanced. From the start with Casemiro, Mount and Bruno on the opening day, We've seen Eriksen, McTominay and Bruno against Fulham. We didn't win the midfield battle. We've seen all sorts of connotations and combinations, and we don't have a balanced midfield, and Ten Hag said that tonight. We've had a lot of changes on the right wing, whether it be Antony out, Sancho played a little bit there, Palestri's played there, Bruno's played there. He said, look, we're really happy with the points we have at the moment and where we are in the season, because we have got all those points and we haven't played well, but we've maintained a competitive position, and I'm confident we can improve when we start to get more stability. And I agree with that. I actually agree with that. I think it's a very, very, very honest assessment of the problem, and I think it's why the Ten Hagers should open their eyes a little bit, because there is this odd belief that Manchester United should be in a better position and would be in a better position with a different manager. But many of us understand the situation that we're in. We've had so much disruption in defence. The midfield is not balanced, and we're very lucky to have the points that we've got because we haven't played well. I mean, I look at Wolves at home, we should have lost. Sheffield United and Burnley were scraped wins. So Ten Hag, very honest there. Until he gets a stable 11, we're gonna struggle, and I think we will struggle again. Look at Spurs last night. As soon as Maddison and Van der Ven go off, and I know they were down to 10 men pretty much at that point, but they won't be the same team on Saturday without Van der Ven, Maddison and Romero. That's 3 players out. A lot of the time, we've had our whole defence out. So there is an excuse. It doesn't mean it's nice, but there is an excuse. And I think we will not see good football until we get the likes of Luke Shaw back, until we get a stable 11, and until he finds a balanced midfield. And I think that does impact Højlund, it does impact Antony, it does impact Bruno, and it does impact Rashford, because you need a stable structure behind them to create those plays. And he was asked about style of play, and he said, the journalist said, you were asked about your style of play last time, could you expand on it? And he said, look, the style of play that we're trying to build is based on a good formation, composure on the ball, good construction with the ball. You can go direct when the right situations present themselves, but the players have got to find solutions. They've got to make the right decisions on the ball. And I think that this is probably something that the modern football fan appreciates, but not everybody appreciates, is that I think that some football fans think that Erik Ten Hag is responsible for everything in relation to how we play, in the sense that Pep Guardiola somehow predicts every action in every game and tells everybody what to do. So that when Phil Foden receives the ball in the 7th minute against Chelsea at the weekend, Pep's telling him, pass it to the left. I mean, how incredibly naive is that? Pep Guardiola is a genius, but he cannot predict where Phil Foden's going to receive the ball in the 7th minute and tell him where to pass it. So much about football is based on individuals making the right decisions pragmatically and on off the cuff in a game. And I just think we all know that there's a lot of United players in the last 6 months who make the wrong choice in the attacking phase. Whether that's shooting from the edge of the box when there's a better pass, whether that's holding on the ball too long or misplacing a pass. And these will all be things that Ten Hag's trying to work on, but obviously we're not quite there yet. And I think he's probably right. Until he gets some of these better players back and starts playing a fixed 11, I think it's always a problem when you change your team. You change your team all the time. Don't listen to the hate, Mark. You're a legend, says Jordan. Thank you very much. We, the Ten Hag outers, have been abused and called names, yet really it's about pressure on the manager of Man United, and he's dramatically improved his communication in the last 2 press conferences, says Daniel Shabar. So Daniel's claiming an assist for the win against Fulham and the improvement in Erik Ten Hag's answering of questions. That is down to the Ten Hag outers who have put pressure on him, apparently. I'll let you decide that on the chat. What else did he talk about? Well, he was asked about Antony. He was asked a direct question about Antony and why he thinks that he is being... why he's struggling. While he's struggling. And it was even put to Ten Hag that when he subbed Antony at the weekend, the away crowd cheered the substitution, which I'm just trying to compose myself and say what I think about this. I think Anybody who follows Man United home and away is an absolute legend of this football club. The commitment, the impact financially and on your home life is massive. Now, obviously, some of them just massively enjoy it, so they might say, well, it's not really much of an impact. It's an impact on the people I leave behind, but for me, it's a great day out or a great couple of days out. But look, it's an amazing thing to do, and they do a great job. And they travel, and they spend money, and they've got every right to put up a banner saying, play like you mean it, and they've got every right to boo players like they did at the end of the Rangnick season, singing, "You're not fit to wear the shirt." On the other hand, I think people forget that when they attack people on social media for being critical of a player, and yet our lifeblood of this club will sing "You're not fit to wear the shirt," boo players, and cheer it when they get subbed off. This is the harsh reality of supporting a football club that some people think is toxic. It is no more toxic to put a tweet out on Twitter saying, "I don't think this player's good enough, they're crap," than it is to boo a player or cheer when they go off at a ground. This is football fans who support a football club that has not been doing very well and is nowhere near where it should be for the last decade. And people express that in different ways. There is no superior fan, and there should not be any digging out of a fan who criticises a player in a way that is constructive. Is it constructive to cheer when a player gets subbed off who's played well? I think it is. It's an expression of dissatisfaction that they haven't put in the required performance that befits a shirt like Manchester United. Is booing a player a little bit abusive? No, it's only the same as sending a plate of food back because it's not what you ordered. It's only the same as booing a bad joke at a comedy night. Again, it comes down to why are they doing it? And if it's done based on a poor performance in a Manchester United shirt, then it may well be deserved. And it's no different to putting a tweet out from Man United fans saying, "I'd sell X because they're not good enough and they've been consistently crap in a United shirt for ages." And these things do need to be taken on board. With Anthony, I do think that a lot of it is subtle in relation to why he gets targeted. I don't think Anthony's been any worse than such and such, such and such, and such and such. And you know who I'm talking about, and you'll all have different names. But I don't think Anthony is the only player that is playing badly for Man United at the moment. I also think that it's unfair because a lot of it is being driven by the fact that he's foreign, and there's a lot of media talk about him that maybe subconsciously gets into our fan base a little bit, because he does get a lot of abuse. He gets a lot of abuse, and he's no worse than a few others at the moment, in my opinion. However, he's not playing well. So the question to Ten Hag was, he was cheered off the ground against Fulham. Why is he struggling? And Ten Hag, like with Rashford, you can tell that this man is part of his first team plans, and you can tell that he will be part of that starting 11 that he wants to consistently pick, which is probably not good news for Pellistri and Garnacho lovers, but I think Rashford and Anthony are the two that he wants to go with, and the hints have been there. But this is what he said about Anthony. He had a very good pre-season, and he had a very good rhythm in pre-season, and he'd scored a few goals. He's then been out for a few weeks, as we all know, with the issues that we've spoken about. So that form from pre-season disappeared. It's now about hard work to get back where he was, and it will come. And that's your answer from Ten Hag. That is somebody who is not really acknowledging that this is a player that he wants out of the team. This is somebody that is part of his plans, that he wants to be part of his plans, and I think we will see him as part of his plans. And I look, you know, I don't think we had Fabrizio on yesterday. He said it. We've said it, or some of us have said it. We have not seen the Anthony. We've not seen the real Anthony, in my opinion. When we bought Eriksen, he was a free transfer, Martinez, Malacia, Casemiro and Anthony last summer, the signing that excited me the most, and I'm a massive fan of Casemiro, was Anthony, because he's a flair player. And from what I'd seen of him at Ajax, I haven't seen that at Man United. Very, very rarely. He does look very one-dimensional. He does look very predictable. And he does not give me any confidence when he receives the ball that he's going to make a good pass or even keep it. So I acknowledge the bad performances, but I don't think it's a reflection of the player he is. I don't think we've seen the real Anthony yet. And I think there is a chance that everybody who's made their mind up may look very, very stupid in a few months' time, because I don't think we've seen the real player. On the other hand, there has to be that question of, was he doing it in the Eredivisie because that was his level and he's not good enough for the Premier League? And that's the challenge. And the answer is yet to be written. It's an assist, though. His last press conference, he literally said, I didn't explain my style of play well, and then did. That came from the online backlash about his prior Ajax comments, says Daniel. Okay. How many players play Ten Hag ball? Passion plus possession. Rashford exemplifies the lack of this. We need more Højlunds. Thoughts on this, Mark, please, says Evan. Well, the flip side to that coin is that Ten Hag was actually asked about the Rashford tweet, you know, where he replied to the United stand thing. And he was asked about, you know, the Marcus Rashford that you see, is he affected? Is he focused, basically? And he said, look, Rashford is committed to Manchester United and the United team, and he's investing in the team by working hard. It's interesting that you say Ten Hag is about possession, and I can't remember the second thing you said. Basically what you said is that Rashford's not a Ten Hag type player. It's interesting you say that, because every single hint we've had from Ten Hag from the minute he came to the club to now, to half an hour ago in that press conference, is that Marcus Rashford is his star player. Certainly in his top three. So you might think that Rashford's not a Ten Hag player and doesn't suit his system, and maybe you're onto something that Ten Hag hasn't seen yet. But for a man that's obsessed with football and tactics and styles of play, he's made it very, very clear from day one to now that Marcus Rashford is a fundamental part of his plan, hence why he's on big money and on a big contract. Conspiracy theorists will say, bollocks, that's just the club not wanting to sell an asset. Why would Ten Hag be here if he had a player that was being forced upon him that he didn't want? I believe Ten Hag believes that Rashford is a massive part of his team. I have said it before, Ten Hag might be making a mistake. He might be using Rashford in a way that Sir Alex used Ronaldo in the late noughties, where 10 players work really hard and Ronaldo's given a bit of a free ride to just express himself as the star of the team. And I think that did work in 2008, but it doesn't work anymore. You look at Man City, you look at Arsenal, you look at teams now, there is no player that's carried. Man City don't carry anyone. Everybody has to work hard, from Haaland to Bernardo Silva to Kevin De Bruyne. Now, is Ten Hag trying to keep Rashford fresh for the counter and the attack and saying don't put the work in on the defence? Because sometimes he doesn't put the work in, but maybe that's a conscious decision, because Ten Hag keeps picking Rashford. People keep moaning about his work rate, but Ten Hag keeps picking him. So maybe it's a tactical thing. And I have said this a few times. Maybe Ten Hag is saying to Rashford, I don't want you getting involved in the defensive work, tracking back, working hard, because I want you fresh for the counter. That'll be very interesting, because I don't think there is much evidence in the modern game that you can carry a player that doesn't do all the work. Mo Salah isn't given a free ticket at Liverpool. Son's not given a free ticket by Ange to not track back and work hard and get physical. So, but without a shadow of a doubt, Marcus Rashford is, I believe, Ten Hag's star player. I think he's above Bruno. I think he is the player that he wants to be the focal point of that team. So I disagree that he's not part of Ten Hag's plans, because if he wasn't the right sort of player, I don't think he'd be here. But then people would quite rightly say, well, I don't think Bruno's suitable for a Ten Hag team, because I think Ten Hag needs a number 10 that's more magnetic and, you know, a rotator of the ball like an Odegaard or a De Bruyne. Whereas Bruno's a little bit of a risk taker, and that doesn't work if you want to be a possession team. But I think, again, there's no evidence that Ten Hag doesn't think that Bruno's part of his plans either. We will win the Champions League. Bet on that, says Kate. That was my prediction. I predicted that United would win the Champions League at the start of the season. It's still possible. We have to win tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. And I tell you what I'd love to see tomorrow. I'd love to see United 4, Copenhagen 0. Couple of goals from Højlund. A goal each for Rashford and Anthony. That would be a dream. That would be a dream. The confidence that those three would get. Højlund needs some goals. Antony needs a goal. Rashford needs a goal. I mean, that would be the dream tomorrow. Because I think he will go with that 3. He was also asked about the banner at the ground on Saturday at Craven Cottage for the Fulham game, where fans held up that banner saying "Play like you mean it." And obviously Ben Foster was joking yesterday about McTominay saying that they'd seen that banner and McTominay had said these fans pay good money. We need to put a shift in. And Ben was saying, oh, you've only just realised that. Wow, look, you needed a banner to show you that you earn good money and fans follow you around the world to play well. But I actually think it was just McTominay acknowledging the banner and the fans, which is, always good. But Ten Hag was asked about what he thought about that banner. And he said, look, the players do make an effort for this shirt, but there can always be more. And the most important thing is that this is Manchester United and you have to win every game. And the fans expect the highest standards. And I think that's something that people just always differ on. If you have a certain standard as a Manchester United fan, I think this is why we sometimes fall out and we sometimes disagree. Because some people will say, well, I'm Ten Hag out because United should be in a title race this year. Have they set unrealistic standards? Yes. But we all have different standards. And I think that's why we all have different opinions. Because as Man United fans, we will have different standards. For me, Man United shouldn't be anywhere other than first every single year. I've accepted we're nowhere near that, but that's the bar. We should be first. And that ran through the 70s when we didn't win titles. That ran through the 80s when we didn't win titles. And Sir Alex took us back there in the 90s and noughties. But this is something that's been ingrained in Man United from, probably as far back as anybody who's living can remember. We should always be first. That should always be the standard, and we've allowed it to slip. Hi, Mark. I'm not British, so I'm not being xenophobic when I say that this is his second season for Antony and nothing to show for it except for one wrong decision after another, followed by a stupid smile and apologies, says Sheriff. Love the channel, pal, says Scott. Thank you very much. Mark, if that scoreline does happen tomorrow, I'll travel to England just to buy you a pint, says Amir. It's got to happen at some point. Man United winning a game by 4-0 should not be the holy grail. I mean, it used to happen quite regularly and it should be happening. I mean, it probably is a little bit premature at the moment. I genuinely would take 1-0 scrappy tomorrow, and that's what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting vintage high-scoring game, and if we get it, yabba dabba do, but I will take 1-0 tomorrow. I mean, this is what Ten Hag had to say about Copenhagen. They have the right to feel like they're favourites, but we will approach the match with confidence with the aim of winning. And I think that one of their players has said that we're confident and we believe that we are the favourites for this game. I quite like that. I think it's arrogant. I think it gives us an opportunity to motivate ourselves. We should be favourites away to Copenhagen, but I think it will be a different game. A difficult game. They expressed themselves very, very well at Old Trafford. If they scored that penalty, we would be in right shit, wouldn't we? And I'd forgotten about that till the preview this afternoon because things move on. There's so much to talk about. But Onana makes a penalty save, a very good penalty save. Otherwise, we'd have drawn that game and we'd be in massive trouble. We're in massive trouble if we don't win tomorrow. Like, look at what's just happened to Newcastle. Sheriff says, moreover, Rashford had a spike last season, that's all. How long we have to wait for Rashford, Sancho and Antony to deliver while we can someone like Rasmus fighting every minute of every game. That's from Sheriff. He was asked, just in relation to the game tomorrow, he was asked about the atmosphere issue. Really good answer this. He said, the question was, United seem to struggle when they go away from home against an intimidating atmosphere. We've got a few of them coming up. We've got bloody Galatasaray coming up and Newcastle coming up very, very soon. So the question was, United have struggled in the past with atmospheres away from home. Heads have dropped. Is it something that concerns him going into what will be, an atmosphere in a game we need to win against Copenhagen? Excuse me, it's been a long day. And he said, Ten Hag said, look, we look forward, but we have got experienced players who are very used to playing and winning in difficult away environments, whether it's for Manchester United or their national team. And he gave a very good example. He said, Barcelona away last season, we played very well. We should have won the game. And that's probably one of the most difficult environments you can go into. And he's right. And, we're all going to have different interpretations of that because Liverpool away was a bloody disgrace and we absolutely shrunk. In fact, we may as well have dug a hole and buried ourselves. We were cowardly. It was a horrific downing of tools and a weak mentality. And it has happened at other places as well. But under Ten Hag in Barcelona, I thought we were incredible. So we can do it. But we're back talking about that word consistency. And whether it's consistency in performance or whether it's consistency in mentality, this is something that United have struggled with for years. And I think with United, we're more than capable of going to Copenhagen or Galatasaray and getting a result. But we're also more than capable of going to Copenhagen or Galatasaray and getting beaten and, looking weak. It's more about you don't know what you're going to get with United than we always fall apart in a difficult away tie or we always play well. And I think that's a fair way of looking at it. Bruno and Rashford are not the same. Bruno presses to make killer passes because Anthony and Rashford do not provide to Højlund. Bruno could be David Silva, says Evan. We need a dead ball specialist in this team, says Bryce. Someone who gives 15 plus assists from passes and corners. I think I almost want to, in fact I will. I just want to just sort of applaud that. Goldbridge doesn't stand up and applaud much. It's a bit like a Paul Hollywood handshake. I think Bryce makes a great point, and it's something we've been sort of hinting at and discussing on the watch-alongs for a few weeks now. But I think that like the Martinez injury, which is a disgrace, that's the same injury and we've lost him for 8 months, which is, how many players are at cruciate ligament, you could be back before that. So Martinez being out for as long as he is just a shit stain on the fitness department. There has to be questions asked there. But also on the training ground, on the set pieces, there has to be questions asked there. We are abysmal at scoring from set pieces. We have quite a lot of set pieces every single game, but we're rubbish at them. Absolutely rubbish, whether it's a direct free kick, a corner, a cross from a corner. And I know we scored against Fulham and we were very unlucky, to be fair, but that shouldn't be the one-off. We play against teams. I mean, look at West Ham. They are very, very threatening from set pieces because they've got somebody who's very good at set pieces. Now, James Ward-Prowse is very, very good, but come on, you're telling me Man United can't create with the players that they've got somebody who can put consistently good crosses into the box. It is poor. And it's an area where over the course of a season, if you're good at set pieces, you'll have a lot more points. Could be 10 more points. Ivan says, Bruno and Rashford have done that one. When's Malacia's injury? He's been out for months, says Paul. I don't really know. Ten Hag is quite secretive with the injuries. I don't know what Malacia's injury was because I believe Malacia was injured over the summer. I don't know whether it was before the end of the season or after pre-season, but he's been out for a while as well. And again, some of these injuries have crept a little bit, haven't they? They've sort of gone from thinking it might be a few weeks and ended up being a few months. Mason Mount's good at taking set pieces, says Just Kevin. Well, if Mason Mount's the answer, then we need to find Mason Mount needs to be in the first team and get into it, doesn't it? Simple as that. What's your thoughts on the match tomorrow? Massively excited. Similar to Fulham, I'm sort of in that survival mode as a fan at the moment. I want Ten Hag to do well. I want United to win. And I know it's going to be another battle. And I actually quite enjoy watching United at the moment because I feel it's a bit of a siege. I feel like there is a lot of people against us. There's a lot of people that want us to fail. Some maybe even in our fan base, but certainly externally. There's a lot of media pressure to sack Ten Hag. And whilst the football's not great, when you're behind the team and you're behind the manager, you feel you're part of something. And it's really difficult with United over the last 10 years to feel part of it. When it was Sir Alex, you felt part of it. Even when we were winning things, 99, you felt like you were part of it on a journey. Same in 08. 95, when we didn't win anything. Everton in the FA Cup final, Paul Rideout scored. The final day of the season against West Ham, where Blackburn are at Liverpool and all we've got to do is beat them, West Ham, and we don't. And we go from a double to nothing. But you felt part of something. 98, when Arsenal won the double, Roy Keane got that knee injury. We missed most of the season and you're playing Scholes and Butt as centre midfielders and it's hard, but you felt part of something every game you were battling. And it's a great feeling when it's like that. It's a great feeling when you feel part of it. And some people say, what do you mean you feel part of it? You're a United fan. But no, you don't always feel part of it. You don't feel part of it when they're playing crap and you know the manager's going to get sacked. You don't feel part of it when the team's not really making you feel part of it. I feel part of it with United at the moment. Saturday was one of the closest I felt to that United team in a long time. I felt part of the battle, and I think a lot of people have said that to me. And I feel that again tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be... I'm not expecting a good performance, but I'm expecting a battle where, you know, if you come out of that with a 1-0 win, I feel part of it. So I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. And that brings an element of excitement as well, because there is that danger that if we don't win, it's perilous, isn't it? So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Mark, I believe once the team hammer a good opponent like 5-0 this season, when facing other teams after that, they would be cautious playing us, says Amir. Yeah, you know, look at the way teams set up against Arsenal, City. They're scared of them. Teams are not... It's called the fear factor. Teams used to have the fear factor. Teams in the tunnel at Old Trafford were beaten before they went on the pitch. That's not happened for years. You have to earn that, though. It's all right saying we've lost the fear factor, but you had to earn it in the first place. People aren't scared because they're coming to Manchester and they're coming to Old Trafford. You know, I've played at Old Trafford. It's exciting. It's one of the greatest grounds in the world, and it's got the greatest history in the world. To make it scary, you've got to be, you know, you've got to make it like the Colosseum with lions. You know, you've got to be intimidating, and we're not intimidating. You've got to earn that. I agree with Erik ten Hag when he talks about the defence. The connection from defence to midfield is important, and the downgrade in defence is major, says Jack. Look, whatever you think about Johnny Evans, whatever you think about Delo, whatever you think about Reguilon, whatever you think about Maguire, it's very different to Shaw, Varane, Martinez and Wan-Bissaka. In name, in personnel and in style. Last season, we had 2 left footers, 2 right footers. This season, sometimes we've had 4 right footers. And that's before you even get to the style of defenders we've got. I mean, look at the defensive line against Fulham. It's very, very deep because it has to be because of Evans and Maguire. Last season, there was times where, you know, Varane and Martinez could say to the fullbacks, piss off, we'll deal with it on our own. So there is big changes, and of course that impacts on the way you play. That's why we're in survival mode. That's why it's about results at the moment. That's why we're fighting, and I'm here for it. Your legends in the chat, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. I agree, I completely mean what I said before. I don't think I fight enough for it. I think I just take it for granted that, you know, haters are going to hate, and we've got our community, and we just get on with it. But I absolutely should say it more, and I do and will, that it doesn't get acknowledged enough that this is the biggest Manchester United fan community in the world, and it is the biggest football club community in the world. And as much as people try and portray it as negative, how can it be negative when nothing like this existed before? If you wanted to be part of a United community, you had to log on a computer and type on a forum, which is a very lonely thing, or you had to pick up a fanzine and read it, which is a very lonely thing. And we've created something that is a community thing, where at certain times of the day, you can come and chat amongst yourselves, and off the cuff, we can wander into things, talk about the club we love. That absolutely makes people feel closer to the club, and it absolutely makes people more engaged with the club. It's a positive thing, and you've made it. You've made it. So, you know, I'm probably going to have to shout it a little bit more, because these detractors, haters who don't understand what we're about shout very loudly. But what I've just said there is very, very true. None of this existed before. Are you saying that that's the way it should be? That people should be deprived of a community that makes them feel closer about something that they love and makes them more engaged in the thing they love? So many people say to me, look, you know, before the United stand, I did support Man United, but I didn't love it as much. I didn't breathe it as much. I didn't talk about it as much. And we don't always agree, of course. And of course, there is things that, you know, will piss people off. But ultimately, it's about people who care about this football club talking about this football club. And you've created it. So thank you very much. If Galatasaray win, Bayern, we could still win the group. This is YL. Let's just win tomorrow. That's win tomorrow. That's what's most important. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever you're doing. Take care while you're doing it. And I'll speak to you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Match day. Lots to get involved with. Bring it on. Get the result tomorrow. Let's do it.